everyone. I am really excited. Today is my first official day of being able to get subs. I filled out the whole affiliate thing, so yeah, so that is an option. Um, I want to welcome you guys today to the stream and thank you guys for coming. I always really appreciate your guys' continued support because I definitely wouldn't have been able to get this channel to where it's at if it weren't for you guys. So today we're going to be talking about a really relevant topic, um, burnout or depression. And let me know how relevant this is to you guys. Like, I think a lot of us have trouble determining the difference between the two. Or alternatively, we'll beat ourselves up and we'll just think that we're lazy. So, um, today we're going to be talking about how to tell the differences between burnout and depression, and, quote unquote, being lazy. And we'll also talk about what leads to burnout and depression, and how to cope with either of them if you have it. And we're also going to talk about how to prevent burnout and depression. Depression is obviously the way that your brain is firing. It often can't be necessarily prevented, but burnout can lead to depression. So if we can prevent burnout, or stop burnout in its tracks, then we can keep ourselves from going down that rabbit hole, possibly. So, yeah, what do you guys think of the topic? I'm really excited to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And as always, I'm going to post my sources in the comments. Last time I tried to post my sources, it was like really weird. So I'm actually gonna wait until the end of the chat, or of the stream to post my sources. Um, and I'll also have it in the YouTube video for my sources. But yeah. So, uh, if you guys have been feeling burnt out or depressed, or you've had periods of your life where you felt like this, I'd love to hear your experiences. I've definitely gone through this during the pandemic. I'm sure a lot of you guys have too. V Falcon says, "Hey, Shorty Pop, interested in this since burnout and depression seem to go hand in hand." Yeah, that's actually very true. They do go hand in hand. I didn't know this until looking into the topic, but I found out that burnout can lead to depression, and that was sort of one of the biggest eye openers that I came across. Um, and why it's so important to recognize the signs of each. Um, so burnout, ideally, if you're at work and you're really busy, maybe somebody could cover for you. And if you need time off without having to have your work build up, that's obviously a privilege to be able to take a break from work. However, if you're burnt out, taking that break will help you. With depression, that wouldn't solve your issue. It would still be there. Burnout is caused by work or school or home stress, or social stress. Depression doesn't need to be caused by anything, which is the scary thing about depression is it can just happen. But there are steps that we could take, little steps that we could do every day to make it more manageable if you are struggling with these things. So V Falcon, have you found yourself struggling with burnout or depression, or sort of just in general finding it hard to get done with things? I know that we talked about ADHD and how that makes it hard to do stuff, but I'd love to hear your experiences as far as you know, the relevance that you feel that this has specifically with like burnout or depression, whether that's getting out of bed in the morning or doing the things that you need to do regularly. Even if, I know that you had said in previous streams that you have ADHD, even if you have your Adderall and that's not helping, you know, definitely would love to hear any experiences that you might have with that. I'll definitely be talking about some of the stuff that I've dealt with as well throughout the stream. Um, And with um with burnout, there's this sense of worthlessness, and it's typically connected to work, not your overall value. You could think, oh, I'm not getting enough stuff done, but you won't necessarily think, oh, I'm a piece of shit and I suck at everything. But with depression, there's these generalized feelings of worthlessness where you just think everything about you is terrible. And I know that I couldn't tell which I was experiencing during the pandemic for a while, and I identified it as depression, but I still wasn't completely sure. But after learning about this, I definitely can say yes, I was depressed. I had no self-esteem. I thought very little of myself. So that really checked out for me. Um, and I mentioned before about how burnout can cause depression, especially if you've been depressed in the past. V Falcon says, definitely do experience burnout, usually when I don't allow myself to de stress, i.e., turn my brain off. Yeah, I I'm wondering, like, what ways do you usually, so whenever you say you turn your brain off, how do you go about turning your brain off, or de-stressing? Um I I know with burnout, the differences between that and depression are, with burnout there's mental changes. We talked about how it's caused by work stress. It's emotional in response to this prolonged stressed feeling about your job or others around you. um and you start to feel like you're just going through the motions. Liberace says, I made it. Hey, Liberace, I'm really glad that you could join today. And same with V Falcon. I'm really glad both of you could come today. Um, how are you guys doing, by the way? It's always good to see you here. Oh, do I have another guest? Hello. It looks like one of the Stinky Boys came to visit, or maybe I just imagined it. I don't know where he went. But Liberace, do you relate to like burnout and depression? Um, we were talking a little bit about what burnout entails. Um, Usually you'll have a reduced sense of personal accomplishment. Um, you know, you could be rejuvenated over a weekend, possibly, but then you might have this Sunday evening dread, or maybe a weekend isn't enough sometimes to cure that burnout. We have this reduced sense of personal accomplishment. So even if you're doing a lot, um, it might not feel like anything. I know that one thing that I've done is I'll write on a sticky note everything that I accomplished that day. And even if it's a small thing, like I took a shower, I'll write it down just so at the end of the day I could look at that list and be like, oh, I did all of these things. Great. Liberace says, yes, 100%. Sometimes I think I'm burnt out, but then it may lead to depression. Yeah, that it's really interesting. Like, it seems like both of you guys have this awareness that burnout can lead to depression. I never knew that before researching for this stream. So um yeah, it makes sense to have that fear that it would lead to that. V Falcon says, going down the YouTube rabbit hole is one way I turn my brain off. I want to replace that with other habits, but maybe it's okay not to be productive for set periods of time. Yeah, I relate to that too, where I feel like my ways of, turning my brain off, I feel this sense of guilt if it's not quote unquote productive. So I relate to that a lot. I mean, even doing research for this stream, it's basically me watching a bunch of YouTube videos, but I'm taking notes and it still feels like work because I'm learning about something. Actually, that reminds me of a conversation I had with one of my Uber customers. Is He was saying it was harder for him to get things done, and I was like, well, what do you do in your spare time? And he says, oh, I like to read books. Oh, well, what do you like to read? And he says, I like to read about how to manage stocks. And I said, and I thought to myself, like, that is a productive thing to do because you're learning. And I asked him, do you retain a lot of the information as you're reading it? And he admitted to me, you know what, actually, sometimes I find myself reading the same thing over and over again because I just can't pay attention. And that's when I realized that even though it's something that he's saying he's doing for fun and it is something productive, he's finding that struggle in doing this. And he's finding himself rereading the same thing over and over again because his brain is just tired. And he seemed really relieved whenever I reminded him that it's okay to just not do anything productive. So that that really hits hard what you're saying, V Falcon, honestly. I have to remind myself too that it's okay to like not, quote unquote be productive. Um or even that some things that might not seem very productive are productive. Like I have to remind myself that showering is a productive thing and that I should be proud that I did that. Um or doing like some simple task. I have to be proud that I did that. I wanted earlier today, I was like, I'm going to animate, I'm going to practice violin, I'm going to set up my Twitch affiliate thing. And I did the last thing, but I didn't, which was the arguably the most important thing that I wanted to do today. But I started to feel bad I didn't do the other two. And I was like, you know what? I tackled this one thing that seemed like the hardest. So I'm going to be proud of that. Liberace says, sometimes a weekend isn't enough, and I think the reoccupying time is just me being depressed. Like, am I actually recharging, or am I just being tired and depressed? Yeah, that's the scary thing about this. Like, the Monday to Friday schedule is we're made to feel like a weekend should be enough. And I remember when I was working a 9 to 5 job, technically 8 to 4, but whatever, we're going to call it a 9 to 5. It never felt like the weekends were long enough after a while. I felt like I was just going through the motions of what I was doing. I didn't feel like what I was making was good enough, even though it was. And even after I went on like a week long vacation, I thought that would be enough. But whenever I went back, I just felt exhausted. Shit, I actually remember my grandma passed away while I was working at that place, and I got 3 days off for bereavement. And after those 3 days, I thought, oh, I'm going to be recharged after these 3 days, after I just went through a life changing event. And I sort of started beating myself up that, okay, I had the weekend off plus these 3 days of bereavement, and I'm still not recharged, even though I just went through a death in my family. I was made to feel like that should have been enough. So I definitely understand what you're saying about the weekend not being enough. Liberace says, like what V Falcon said about gaining other habits, I relate. Reading is fun. I've started reading again to try and avoid the phone screen. I really like that. I've been trying to do that at night before going to bed. That's actually, I'll get into it in a little bit, but that's actually one of the ways that I read about preventing depression, preventing burnout and depression is having a nighttime routine and taking away screen time. Do I always do that? No. But I've been trying to make myself read a book at night before bed instead of looking at a screen. So I think it's great that you're doing that. Even the book that I'm reading is like technically educational because it's called Conquering Worry and Anxiety. But I like that you're from what I know with you, Liberace, you pick fiction books that are like fun to read. So that kind of inspires me to want to basically do what you and V Falcon are saying of, it's okay to not be productive. Maybe my like quote unquote bedtime book could be something that doesn't have to be educational. So I think it's good that you're doing that. Um I think it feels very isolating to look at a screen for too long. V Falcon says very appropriate, very appropriate shirt for this topic. Thank you. I didn't even do that on purpose, but you know what? I'll take it. um, Liberace says going back into my planner, I'll put stuff in at the end of the day I accomplished, then check it off. Sometimes you've done more than you think. I love that. I do that too, actually. Like, I'll write on a sticky note the shit I want to get done, and I'll go back in at the end of the day and I'll write in stuff that I didn't originally write down just to cross it off because that feels good. So I think that's great that you do that. Um, Liberace says, yeah, weekends are like spending the entire week underwater. And the weekends are your time to come up for a breath. Sometimes you just need to get out of the water for a week. V Falcon says that's a great analogy, Liberace. Yeah, that is a really great analogy. That sounds like something that'd be from fucking BoJack Horseman. Did you just come up with that? I really like that. Um, yeah, I really like that. It definitely does feel that way. It feels like genuinely, it feels like a breath of fresh air to have a job where I can choose my own hours, because it felt very suffocating to work these 40-hour work weeks, broken up into 5 days. I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was overwhelming. Um, Liberace heart. Aw, heart back to you. Aw, I appreciate that. Um, yeah. Uh, um, when we talk about burnout, not only do you get this reduced sense of personal accomplishment, there's something called depersonalization. I don't know if you guys have heard of this before, um, or have felt this, but it's when you feel detached for yourself. Like you've pushed yourself to the limit, um, and you value productivity more than you value yourself. And I've definitely gone into that headspace where I didn't value myself. I only valued how productive I was being. And I'm just recently learning to, instead of value myself and validate myself based on my productivity, value myself based on morals. Like, hey, you're a really good friend. Hey, you're an honest person in these ways. You follow your conviction in these ways, instead of saying you're good enough because you did these things and you accomplished these things. Stopping talking to myself like that has really helped. So do you find yourselves doing the same thing where you value productivity more than you value yourself? It kind of sounds like that's the vibe I'm getting from what you guys have said in the chat. Some characteristics of burnout are exhaustion, cynicism, and inefficacy. So you're tired, you're cynical, maybe you're grouchy about things, you don't have high hopes for things, and you're not as efficient as you'd like to be. You feel like you just can't get done with the things that you want to do. Um, and there's an interesting cycle behind this that I learned. Um, so I'm gonna look through. Uh, there's something called I'm gonna get more into burnout in a second, but I was so fucking amazed at this cycle I learned about, and it's called the anxiety burnout depression cycle. So I fucking felt this too on a molecular level, where you get anxiety about something, right? Which can be caused, it could be genetic, it could be from trauma, it could just be from habit. But you feel unsure, you feel directionless. Maybe it's your finances, maybe you have these physical manifestations. Like I've had chest pain and vomiting from my stress, from my anxiety. So you get this shitty feeling and you think, I'm going to distract myself from this shitty feeling by keeping busy. So you pile on a bunch of extra tasks. And then you say, oh, I'm going to pick up this new hobby, and I'm going to start doing this, and I'm going to join this club, and I'm going to volunteer for this, and I'm going to do this. And you put all this shit on your plate because you want this control of your life. And you think, oh, if I try to stay busy, I won't feel anxious. And then you get burnt out because you can't keep all of these plates spinning. And because you only have two arms and you couldn't keep these 50 plates spinning, rather than saying, oh, I put a little too much on myself. No, instead you say, oh, I feel like a fucking failure. What's the point in trying? Am I a failure? You try so hard to escape that feeling, and you try to escape that anxiety, but you failed because you put all this shit on yourself. And this is the kind of shit that leads people to depression. It leads people to suicide. You're killing yourself by doing this. But then you just tell yourself, oh, I'll just try harder next time. So then you put even more on yourself, and the cycle repeats. I can't tell you how many fucking times I've done that. There will always Liberace says there will always be something left to do on the to-do list. I feel like I'm like shaking after getting that out. Jesus. Yes, I've learned it's okay to have shit on your to-do list and then not get everything done and then just put that off till tomorrow. And then maybe you get a few more things done and then maybe there's a few more things that get put off till tomorrow. Like there's one thing I've been putting off for days, but there's a deadline and I still have time to do it. So I'm not going to make myself feel shitty for not doing it. Um so yeah, Liberace and Vifalcon, what ways do you relate to that cycle, that anxiety, burnout, depression cycle? Do you find yourself filling your plate up with things to try and make yourself feel anxious? Do you find yourself, you know, feeling burnt out because you couldn't keep up with these unrealistic expectations that you had for yourself? When you get this sense of burnout, I'm wondering like was it stuff that you actually had to do or were you putting a bunch of extra shit on yourself that you didn't necessarily need to do? Were you making that to-do list longer than it needed to be because you wanted to feel like you were enough? Let me know if you relate to those things. Um, and when we talk about the stages of burnout, uh oh, Liberace says, yeah, today I went to renew my driver's license. And I told the guys that I was stressing over it for a whole month, and they were like, why? And it was really easy to renew in the end. Sometimes the to do list becomes super long because I feel like if there's stuff on there for too long, it becomes something that I'll put off forever. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like doing that affiliate thing, like setting that up today. I was like, "Oh, that's the task I'm dreading the most. It's going to be fun to animate and to practice violin, but I got to do all this technical shit." And that turned out to be the one thing I got done today, and it was way easier than I thought it was going to be. Um sometimes Liberace says it just becomes a bigger worry. Um I mean, it makes sense why you decided to wait on that because I mean, honestly, going to the DMV is something it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks and it is something to dread because you're going to be there all day and it takes hours to be seen and you're just sitting in that room and like I definitely get it. I've literally imagined somebody like putting a gun to me and being like, "Give me your wallet," and just being like, "Look, I don't want to go to the DMV. Can I just keep my license so I don't have to go to the DMV?" Like I've fantasized about that conversation. So I definitely fucking understand what you mean about like dreading doing this thing that seems like it would be easy. Liberace says, "Ha, yes." Did you okay? Did you have that fucking fantasy too? I'm sure nobody else has, and I'm just fucking crazy. But if somebody else has had that thought, I need to know. Nikki the Class says, plus the DMV is even scarier than. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were making a joke at the beginning of that about the DMV being scary, and I was going to be like, yes, it is. And then I realized you were talking about the pandemic, and now I feel bad about laughing about the beginning of that. But yeah, no, you're right. Um, it is valid to be worried to go where there's just a huge congregation of people. Nikki the Claw says, no, it's still scary. Ah, I splashed water in my eye. Um, but Nikki the Claw says it's just more scary now. Yes. Um, yeah. I feel that too, like with my to-do list getting longer. And sometimes I'll break it up. Like if I look at a whole to-do list and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so many things." Sometimes I'll go into my phone calendar and I'm like, "Okay, this day weeks from now, you're going to clean out the closet." It's not on my visible to-do list right now, but it's in my calendar on this day. So I don't have to look at the stack of things. Just this one day is set aside to clean my closet. And that's sort of makes it a little bit easier to manage because I set aside a specific day for it where I don't have to worry about necessarily anything else but that one thing that's a big pain in the ass. Um, but it's not on my like big list of shit that's stressing me out. Like, does that make sense? Liberace says that's a good idea. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, yeah. Um, when we look at burnout, we talked about that cycle where you get that excessive drive or ambition, and it's common for people like starting a new job. Me, when I started my animation job, I wanted to be a better artist. So what do? You push yourself to work harder. So I decided to work on an art project every day after work, of working on art all day. And then what that leads to is neglecting your personal care and needs. You're sacrificing your self care. So for me, I was staying up late. I stopped hanging out with my friends because I was prioritizing being productive over that. Um, and that's another part of it is you don't make time for non-work related needs. You displace that blame. Maybe instead of looking at yourself and being like, oh shit, I'm pushing myself too hard. That's why I feel shitty. You might put that on other people and be like, well, I feel shitty because you did this. And it creates that resentment towards other people. Um, Let me know if you like relate to any of those stages so far. Um, Nikki the Claw says, I've found success in finishing the least intimidating task first. As cliche as that sounds, the energy from success kind of snowballs from there. See, that's interesting. I really like that. I feel like, when I was a kid, I had like a lot of homework all the time in school. And it was always a toss up between doing those two things, between starting at the easiest thing or starting at the hardest thing. Because if I started at the hardest thing, it would take me forever to get it done, and I'd feel like shit. Because I'd be like, oh, I still have 5 more things, and I haven't even gotten done with thing number one yet. But whenever you get done with thing one, and then thing two, and then thing three, maybe you're dreading thing number five, but you're like, wow, this list is so much shorter, and visually it feels. I really like that idea, honestly. Doing the least intimidating task first. What do you guys think of that? Do you guys also try Nikki the Claw's tip, or have you ever uh, thought about using that before? Um, I'm gonna take note of that. I really like that. Um, with I guess I relate to that a lot. You also have behavioral changes whenever it comes to burnout. You might become more aggressive and snap at loved ones for no reason. Do you guys notice yourself like whenever you're in this fog, this stage where you just feel overwhelmed that you're snapping at people for no reason? I definitely felt like that during the pandemic where I would lose my shit over little things and just get so angry because I was just kind of spiraling. I feel like a lot of us can relate to um, the whole depression thing. I don't know if you guys went through that during the pandemic, but that was definitely. I feel like all of these things just hit hard during the pandemic for me. Liberace says, I've been snapping at my boyfriend a lot lately after coming home from class. Yeah, do you identify with the stages of like from what I've said so far about burnout versus depression? And we're going to talk a little bit more in a second about um how to identify depression. Where do you feel like you're leaning more towards in terms of like burnout versus depression? Like I know one of like the big things was like valuing um how you value yourself. Do you get down on yourself about not getting enough done? Or do you get down on yourself about like everything about yourself? Like, I guess that's one factor that we could look at to try to like determine if it's burnout or depression. Which do you think that you are relating more to if you're experiencing that, Liberace? Um, with with burnout too, you can get that thing called depersonalization, where you feel detached from life and your ability to control your life. We've talked before about how mental illness really goes hand in hand with how much control do you feel like you have over your life. Um, so when you feel like you don't have control, which Liberace, I know that that's sort of your experience. You have all these things going on in your life. Your landlord is a piece of shit. You have things going on with school that are piling up. You have work not being as available as you want it to be. And things like that. All that stuff is sort of piling up, and that could make anybody feel like they don't really have a lot of control over their lives. And it seems like that could be a big contributor to what you're experiencing and what you're feeling. Would you agree with that? um there's also, this the final stage of burnout is mental or physical exhaustion or collapse. And that's where we can go into depression. So we're going to talk about what depression is in a minute here. um Liberace says, yeah, I feel that very much. Very little control lately. I kept thinking that once school is done, I'll magically feel a lot better, but who knows? Yeah, honestly, I think that is one of the worst things that you can tell yourself is, when blank happens, I'll be happy. I can't tell you how many times I used to tell myself that. Like, I remember when I was living in oh yeah, I guess I won't dox myself if I say a place I used to live. When I was living in Johnstown, which is a shithole, um, I would tell myself, oh, whenever I move out of Johnstown, whenever I move out of my parents, whenever I get a job in my field, whenever I get a boyfriend, I'll be happy. And I told myself all these things. And then, guess what? I got a well paying job as an animator. I moved out of Johnstown. I got into a relationship. I actually was able to live in my own place. And I still found myself being fucking miserable at this 9 to 5 cubicle job where I never felt like I was good enough. And it nothing that I thought would magically make me happy actually made me happy. Um I shouldn't even say happiness is the goal. It's just, I guess, feeling a lot better is a better way to phrase it. Because happiness is an emotion. You can't keep an emotion. It'll never last, because uh it's just not possible for happiness to last forever. You can be peaceful, that can last, but you can't chase happiness. But if you tell yourself, when blank happens, I'll be happy, or it'll be good, everything will be good when this happens, that's the worst thing you can tell yourself. And I noticed that, and I'm saying this because I love you and you're my friend, I noticed that's a mantra that you say a lot, is it'll be good. And I get worried when I hear you say that, because when you say it'll be good, that's you reinforcing the thought in your head that things are not good now. And even if things aren't perfect now, you're continuously telling yourself things aren't good now. And I think you're just going to hurt yourself in the long run if you keep repeating that. A friend of mine just recently told me, because I kept saying, oh, it's hard, this is hard, this is hard. And he kept saying, stop saying it's hard, because that's going to become a mantra. The more you say a negative thing to yourself, the more it becomes a mantra that's your default. Liberace says that makes sense. I remember us talking about how we should try to be happy now, even when there's so much going on. There's no point in waiting until retirement. Yeah. Um, exactly. There is no perfect time in life. It's just, I remember thinking, like, I remember just a few months ago, I was dissatisfied with everything in my life. I didn't like where I was at job wise. I didn't like where I was at relationship wise. I didn't like where I was at living wise. And now I'm really happy with all of those things. I've found peace in all those things. I've found to love living by myself, love living in my apartment. I've found a way to make it comfortable for myself. And I've found ways to make myself enjoy where I'm at in this moment. So I'm hoping that there are well, we're going to talk about ways that you can work towards that piece. Um, so with depression, um, there's mental and physical changes. There doesn't always have to be a trigger. And depression needs to last more than 2 weeks. You will notice you'll have trouble getting pleasure out of any of the things you used to enjoy. It takes five of what I'm about to say, five of these to be classified as depression, which is a mental disorder. It and a mental disorder causes deviance, distress, dysfunction, and danger. So the characteristics that it has to meet in order to be classified as depression is you have to have a depressed mood. I definitely felt that during the pandemic. You have to have a low interest in doing things you once enjoyed. Definitely felt that during the pandemic. I didn't want to draw. I didn't want to uh, really do anything. Um, Appetite change. I remember I was binge eating constantly through the pandemic because that was the only thing that was there to look forward to. Or alternatively, you might just not feel like eating at all and might find yourself losing a lot of weight because you can't get yourself to eat. Sleep change. That could be difficulty sleeping or sleeping more than usual. I know during the pandemic I had horrible insomnia. You could be agitated or slowed, which is like emotional exhaustion. I definitely felt that during the pandemic. I was bitchy as fuck. Um, you Low energy is another one, or chronic fatigue. I definitely felt that. I couldn't even get myself to go to the grocery store. I just laid on the couch all day. Um, as a matter of fact, I have this thing that connects to the end of my bed that I can put my face through. It's like one of those things that connect to a massage table. And I got one so that I could put my face through it so I could comfortably lay on my stomach. And I just would, instead of just using that as a comfortable place to lay, I would like have my phone in front of my face and I'd be just endlessly scrolling on garbage content on Snapchat or YouTube with my face in this hole. And at one point, the screen went black and I just saw my fucking depressing reflection of just my smushed face and realized, what the fuck have I become? Um, so it was Nikki the Claw says, oof, insomnia has definitely hit me the hardest. Yes, I've been fucking struggling with that too, especially because I've been quitting weed. I've been feeling really. Dude, Benadryl? I was taking fucking melatonin for a while and that shit stopped working. And my mom was like, have you tried Benadryl? That shit, I got the best fucking night's sleep in a while after taking 2 of those last night. I slept through the whole fucking night. I can't remember the last time that happened, that I slept through the entire night. Fucking, if you have insomnia, try that shit. Nikki the Claw says Benadryl has been my hero too. Fuck yes. My mom also recommended Dramamine, but I couldn't find that at the stores, so been taking that shit. Liberace says the front camera is never flattering when it comes up randomly. It is not. So it's like, I thought you meant like this camera at first, and I was like, I thought it looked good, but okay. um, Liberace says I've been trying to quit nicotine again. I felt so much better after I quit the first time. Actually, yeah, I'm quitting weed, and I felt really shitty that like, oh, I'm doing it again, and what if I start smoking again? But a really interesting way I started looking at it is I don't know if I told you guys this yet, but I was playing Crash Bandicoot, showing a friend I was playing it, and I was like, "Hey, look, I'm really good at it." And I kept dying, and he said, "Ha, I thought you said you were good at it." And I'm like, maybe I am bad at it." And he goes, "No, you know what? Each time you do it, you are getting further. You're getting better each time you do it. Even though you're dying, I could see you getting farther and farther in the level." And that's what I've noticed with me quitting weed is every time I quit, maybe I don't quit as long this time or whatever, who knows, but it gets easier to quit every time. Like I remember last time I tried quitting weed, I I fucking went to AA to try to quit weed because I didn't know any other support group. I was going to AA meetings to try to quit weed and get completely sober. I mean, I wasn't drinking or doing anything, but now I've been completely sober and I didn't need any of that. I've just been spending time with friends. So each time that you go through quitting, it gets easier every time. At least that I've noticed. Maybe it's not always going to last forever. Maybe you will never not smoke a cigarette ever again, but each time you try to quit, it might get a little bit easier. I don't know if you relate to that, but that was sort of my personal experience that I wanted to share with you, Liberace, because I thought maybe that could resonate. Let me know if that made sense to you or if you related to that. Um, or what your experience has been in quitting nicotine and how that's been affecting your mood. Also, quitting nicotine could also be a reason why you're getting, like you said, more agitated lately, because that is a side effect of that. Um, so that might have something to do with it. So we talked about depressed mood, low interest in doing things you once enjoyed, appetite change, sleep change, emotional exhaustion, low energy. The other one was worthlessness. That's another side effect. That's another sign of depression. You have thinking problems that involves frequent lapses in memory or difficulty concentrating, not to be confused with ADHD. And lastly, suicidality. So if you have 5 out of these 9 things, then you meet the criteria for being considered having depression. Of course, you should get professionally diagnosed, but having these things in mind is very important to have in your toolbox to be able to identify what you're feeling and what you're going through. Legendary Danny says, "Hello, I am late and I am here. I took a rock climbing class tonight. That's cool. Was that in Pittsburgh? I'm jealous. I want to I want to do a rock climbing class. That's really fucking cool. How did that go? Also, thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. Liberace says, I once heard someone say that quitting nicotine feels like you're being electrocuted, which I could see that. I just know that I have way more stamina and better mood about life when I'm not constantly smoking or vaping. Yeah, I'm like really relieved that my state doesn't sell flavored vapes because whenever we went to Virginia Beach, I was like hitting that vape constantly and I was like getting nicotine poisoning so bad. Like, I don't know if you remember whenever I like got really dizzy and like was like almost going to pass out? I found out that wasn't necessarily from me not eating enough. It was like nicotine poisoning because I was like uh yeah, I was literally like poisoning myself with too much nicotine, and it really fucked with me, man. It made me feel like nauseous too, like I was gonna throw up a lot. So yeah, I am glad that you're working on quitting it because I know it made me feel like shit. Um, let's see. Londonderry Danny says, like a 10-minute walk from my place in the south side. Fun stuff. Hmm. I am going to hit you up after this probably and ask you where to find that because that sounds really cool. Um, I'm glad you had a good time. Liberace says, yeah, smoking a lot in a short amount of time. I've felt that too. It's a weird feeling. My nicotine was really bad. I kept my vape right by my bed like a baby rattle. It was pathetic. LOL. Um, I mean, I don't think that's pathetic. I definitely have kept my like weed bowl by my bed and had that like dependency. So I definitely like I understand where you're coming from with that. But it's good that you're working on not being dependent on that because um in the long run, you don't want to need something to feel okay. That's what I'm working on, not needing an external source to feel okay. Um, and smoking, because there's a neural fixation to it, there's a ritual to it. Weirdly enough, I talked to my therapist about this, and she says this helps people who uh, are quitting smoking cigarettes, but I'm kind of using it to quit smoking weed. I'm doing something that I've never associated with smoking weed. Like, whenever I was a kid, I'd play The Sims. I loved The Sims. And this was a point in my life where I had never smoked weed. I would just play the game. And everything else in life was like, oh, I'm watching TV, let me smoke a bowl. Oh, I'm hanging out with friends, let me smoke a bowl. Oh, I'm going to go for a walk, let me smoke a bowl. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to smoke a bowl. But I don't have that association with The Sims. So whenever I was playing The Sims, I didn't feel like, oh, I'm going to play Sims and smoke a bowl. It's like that connection was never made. So I'm doing something new that doesn't have that association with that habit. And that's actually been helping me. So I'm wondering if that might be something that might help you. Cheers to being healthy. Fuck yeah. Londonderry Danny says, so off topic, but you can be a member for $5 this month. Unlimited climbing and yoga classes. But you have to pay for next month full price. We'll at $70. We could talk later. Do you mean this month as in like a full month? Like any month that you start? Or just like this month in particular, like of March? Of March. Oh. Okay. Well, we will talk about that later. I am excited. Okay. All right. Thank you for the tip. I'm fucking excited. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe we could do that Monday. If you get the day off. But yes. So, I'm gonna look at my notes. Um, so the stages, we talked about the stages of burnout, but with depression, stages don't develop in a linear way. It could last for a few weeks, and not come back for years, or it can last for years. Um, I'd be down. Fuck yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. Also, determining whether or not you're lazy versus burnt out or depressed. I looked a little bit into this, and the main mantra that was repeated with that is like, um, if generally, I I want to be careful how I phrase this because I don't want it to diminish anything that people are going through, or make it sound like anybody is lazy when maybe they aren't. But like, say, say for me, for instance, okay, I'm getting a bunch of shit done, right? I was, okay, I'll take during the pandemic. I did all of my rides that I wanted to do for work, and I got done with certain things that I needed to do, but anything extra, like even cleaning the house or things like that, just felt so impossible. Or getting groceries, like, sure, I could pull up my phone and order on Instacart, but actually going to the store just felt like such a task. I was clearly depressed there, but I was still getting certain things done that I needed to do and fighting through that. But if you aren't facing any of those side effects that we talked about, and you're just not doing anything, that's different. So recognize if you're feeling those side effects, those symptoms of burnout, or those symptoms of depression. So after we've talked about this a little bit, I'd love to hear from you guys. If you look at what you've been experiencing, do you identify more with burnout or depression? Or do you feel like maybe you have a combination of both burnout and depression? Which do you resonate most with? Um, Londonderry Dana says, burnout always feels like I'm just a piece of shit who can't motivate themselves. I set smaller goals now that I can take bites out of, right? Right, for 5 to 20 minutes rather than 1 to 2 hours, right? Meditate for 10 minutes rather than 40 minutes a day. I really like that, honestly. I was feeling really shitty because, I like the idea of meditating, but I could never get myself to do it. And I got this little Fitbit thing now, and there's like an option to meditate. And like now it's just always on my wrist, so if I get pissed off I could like push the button and it's right there, and I don't have to like force myself to clear my head and try to do all this other shit. I just look at the pretty screen and watch the heart sparkle if I do a good job. And it's like a 2 minute thing rather than, you know, I can't imagine meditating for 40 minutes a day. I literally can't imagine that. So that's impressive. And I think that's great that you're able to keep up that habit. Um, Legendary Danny says even 3 minutes of meditation is a good start. That's advice I give to new meditators. Well, thank you. Yeah, I just started doing this today. I think that's really impressive that you work on doing that. Um, I did it for 4 minutes today, I think, total, because I did it twice. I think that's great that you're working on writing and like putting things into easier sized chunks to do. I definitely felt like that. Even honestly, even telling myself I'm going to do something every day is daunting. Like working out, for instance, a lot of people say I'm going to work out every day, and then when the second you miss a day, you feel like shit and you don't want to do it. And so I tell people, try working out 3 times a week instead of every day. And then that makes it a little bit easier to keep that on task. So Legendary Danny, have you found that that has really helped you? Legendary Danny says the bonus is if you set a goal to do anything for 10 minutes, you feel great if you do it for an hour. If you set the goal for an hour, you feel bad for not doing two. Oh, that's a really good point. Look at you dropping some knowledge. I like that. Yeah, I hadn't even considered that, but I really like that. Um, Let me see here. Ba-ba-ba. With burnout, in order to cope with it, because I really like what you're saying, Danny, because you're talking about that is a coping mechanism to deal with the burnout. You're limiting the amount of time that you force yourself to do something and allowing yourself to be more proud of the time that you spend on something when you actually do get it done. Um, so that's a perfect example of one of the first ways to cope with burnout, which is time boundaries. You know, uh, One of those ways of setting a time boundary as well is don't allow yourself to always be available to people. When you instantly respond to people, you train others to expect that you will and should always be available. Instead, what I do is because I get text messages all day, and I'll stop what I'm doing and respond, and it'll make it really difficult for me to get stuff done because I just keep getting back to my phone and keep messaging people. So what I do now is I will take, maybe 4 times a day in bursts to respond to everybody. Um, or I also have a thing on my phone that's called focus mode. If you have a Droid, and you could set it to like me time or work time. And if I do that, then it makes all my other apps not usable. So that way, there we go. It makes all of my other apps unusable. So that way I'm not fucking with my phone. I'm not tempted to mess with it, and I'm forced to spend that time away from my screen because sometimes it's hard to just turn it off. If it's on focus mode, it reminds me. It's like, hey, stay focused, and that helps keep me from making myself available to people all the time. So let me know if that's something that you can relate to, if you get burnt out and get stressed out of having to be available to people all the time. I've actually had to tell my mom that because she's like, oh, you didn't respond to me. Is everything okay? And I had to be like, look, Mom, I want you to know I only respond to people during certain bursts of the day. I guess like if you're like in one of my like really close circles, or if I'm not having a busy day, I'll respond faster. Or if it's maybe at the end of the day whenever I'm just like chilling on the computer chatting with people, it's a little different. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with it. Liberace says, I'm starting to get used to telling people let me get back to you and let me think about it, because I'll do that too, where I tried to get back to everybody the moment they needed me. I want that focus mode thing. I think that's great that you're able to start doing that for yourself, Liberace. Um, and a point about the let me think about it thing. I just want to let you know, if anybody ever says, well, I need an answer now, then the answer should be no. Because if that person can't respect that you need time to think about if you can do something, then they don't deserve that answer. They don't deserve your time to say yes, because they're not respecting your time. So, I just wanted to let you know that, because you deserve to hear that. And I think that's great that you're setting that time boundary for yourself. That's definitely going to help you not get burnt out. Um, Very true. Also, Liberace, do you have an iPhone or do you have a Droid? Because if you have a Droid, I could show you. Oh, okay. No, just kidding. um, you might be able to look it up online if there's a focus mode or something. Sadness, lol. Aw, iPhone might have a focus mode. Yeah, I'm gonna write that shit down. iPhone focus mode? Question mark? I will look that up after the stream. Um, Another way to cope is prioritizing sleep. Getting your 7 to 9 hours, because you're less efficient when you're tired. We like to burn ourselves out and work harder and harder and harder, but it's so much harder to get shit done when you're tired. That's actually the whole reason I fucking started wearing a Fitbit, is so it can keep track of my REM cycles, so I can see how good of sleep I'm getting a night. Um, so that's Oh, I got 9,000 steps in, only 1,000 more, and I've reached my daily goal. Yay. See, and now I can feel good about that. That's another thing to check off my list. Anyway, but prioritizing sleep is a huge one in preventing burnout. Exercise. That's another thing that this has fucking helped me with, is it encouraged me to go for a walk today. I normally hate exercising, but whenever I get down to 10,000 steps, it makes a little firework animation. It makes me feel good about myself, so I'm trying to work towards that today. Um, but exercising, like Danny said, a few minutes a day can go a long way. It doesn't need to be an hour or even 30 minutes a day. Um, if you try to go big all at once, you're going to worry about failure. Actually, if you go on YouTube, I've even typed in lazy girl workout, where I just lay down and like move my leg like this, and like that counts as a workout. And I'm like, I did it. But like that's enough. You still got your body moving. So any type of physical activity, if you like to dance or whatever the fuck you like to do, that is a way to help burnout. Developing a self-care routine is another big one. Like for me, in the morning I like to get myself to drink a big glass of water, and I'll put these under eye patches on under my eyes to like help with dark circles and bags. I'll light a candle. I'll put on rainstorm sounds. I'll have all these like calming things as part of my day, where I'm taking care of myself and feeling good and surrounding myself with pleasant things. Um, and ask yourself another thing. Nikki the Claw, I don't know if you're still on, but this made me think of you. Um, Ask yourself if your job is a good fit for you. Can you imagine yourself doing this job for another 5 to 10 years? Um, because a lot of times burnout, it can just destroy your life. Like I genuinely thought I'd be doing that animation job my whole life. Nikki the Class says, "Ew, no." Yeah, I I could tell it takes a toll on you from what you've told me. And I think you deserve better, honestly. If it's taking that kind of a toll on your mental health, you deserve to find something that doesn't make you feel the way that you do, because it's just going to lead to burnout. It's going to lead to depression. It's going to lead to a lot of problems. Nikki the Class says, I can't imagine dealing with any job for more than a few years. Okay, fair enough. I have never worked a job more than 2.5 years, actually. Um, I guess we'll see where this current job goes. Oh, just knocked a bunch of shit over. Um, let's see. Check something real quick. Okay. Liberace says, I have a friend that is miserable at their current job but does not want to quit because they'll feel guilty. How would you recommend someone to tell them that they should care about themselves and leave this job that is miserable to them? Um, that's a very good question. It's hard to know how to navigate that because we can't make people do things. People have to want to do them on their own. Um, there's a quote. I'm gonna quote BoJack Horseman again, as I do many times on this channel. How many therapists does it take to change a light bulb? Okay, after I've let you think about it for a second, the answer is just one, but the light bulb has to want to change. I think it's admirable that you want to help your friends, and I don't want you to feel guilty if you can't get them to leave this toxic job because they have to want to do it. Um, and I resonate a lot with it because I remember um, reading a sign. I fucked up my back once and I went to the chiropractor, and this is when I was working that shitty animation job where I just felt like death every day because I had a shitty boss and just so many things about it sucked. And on the wall there was like this beautiful mural somebody painted, and it was like, if you it was all these like fucking Pinterest type quotes, and one of them was like, if you don't like your job, leave it. And I thought, fuck this mural, what if I need the benefits? And like, I said something similar to that out loud, and the chiropractor was like, oh, my daughter did that mural. Whoops. I didn't actually say fuck that, but I did say, oh, what if I need the benefits? I said it kind of in a snippy way. But um that was why I stayed at the job, is because one, I felt like I needed that job to be validated, because I needed a job in my field to feel like enough, like I had done it, like I accomplished what I needed to do. And I felt like I needed it for the money, and like I wouldn't get anything else better. So it would depend on your friend's specific situation, because even if you tell her that it's bad for, or him, that it's bad for their mental health, um, they might not still listen. But if you know better about like what specifically about it that would make them feel guilty, like have they expressed what about it would make them feel guilty to leave? Nikki the Claw says that job probably won't give them the same consideration. Yeah, I think you're definitely right. Jobs treat people like they're replaceable and don't give a fuck. Um, Liberace, do you know what about it would make them feel guilty to leave? Um, and while I wait to hear back from you, another thing that you can do is, talk to a therapist. And if those don't work for you, if you expect, like, for your burnout, or you suspect that you're suffering from depression, uh, you know, that's something else to consider. Um, but you could see improvement in a matter of weeks, depending on severity, if you're suffering from burnout. Um, and then we're going to dive into how to prevent slash cope with depression. Quick side note, I'm cutting my streams to an hour long since I'm streaming twice a week. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. We're still going to go over because we're past the 1 hour mark already, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. Let's see. Liberace says that makes sense. They feel that other people are relying on them. But I understand that's not really my business. I just wanted to know if I could help them out in a way. But you're right, she has to want to change the light bulb. Well, so it's not a bad thing that you want to help her. Actually, this is it's really funny that you bring this up because when uh I think this is applicable. When you and I were friends with the same person who was very toxic, I had concerns about how she was treating you too. And I looked up how to talk to somebody who is in an abusive relationship, even though it wasn't an abusive relationship. It was more of like a mentally abusive friendship. um and the article was like, don't tell this person, hey, this person treats you bad, hey, you should leave them. Instead, share your own experiences that you've gone through. And I did need to talk to you about those things anyway, because I was going through a lot, and it helped me to talk to you about them. But whenever I talked to you about the ways that I was being treated by that person, um, you were able to step back and realize that she wasn't treating you very well without me necessarily having to say it. So in that regard, you could do the same with your experiences when talking to that person. You could say, "Oh, I felt guilty to leave this job for this reason," which is true. You felt afraid to leave your past job because you'd never quit a job before. And you were afraid to leave the people that you knew there and things like that, but you quit that job and now you can afford to live outside of, live away from, your family that was not treating you the best. Um, Liberace says, I see, that's a good tactic. Also, yes, I was terrified of quitting. Yeah, I think if you share your experience um, with your friend, that they'll be able to resonate with it and and be more likely to possibly take your advice. And as a matter of fact, I think that might have been how I approached it with you as far as leaving your job at Amazon to do Uber, because I mean, I don't remember exactly the conversation, but I feel like I probably said something about how shitty my animation job was and how afraid I was to leave that and how much better my life got now that I'm not working there. I could be wrong. I don't remember the conversation, but in those instances, me talking about my personal experience helped you to adjust things that were going on in your life so that you could improve them, without me actually telling you what to do. I just shared my experience. And a lot of times that's the best way to help somebody change, is to just share your experience, and maybe they'll resonate with it or maybe they won't. But you're not necessarily telling somebody what to do. You're giving somebody the tools to make their own decision. Um, you can't say, "Hey, build this birdhouse," if they don't know how to build a birdhouse. But you could say, "Hey, here's a screwdriver," uh, and then this person could be like, "Oh, I have a screwdriver. Now I can put together this birdhouse." I don't know anything about building birdhouses. I don't know about screw. So I don't know if that's a proper analogy. Drill? A drill, perhaps. Anyway, I think you get what I'm trying to say. but but yeah, as far as preventing or coping with depression, those lifestyle changes, as mentioned before, are a huge thing. Medication like antidepressants, can help, but not everybody has access to that. Cognitive behavioral therapy, which retrains your brain to function and think a different way, or behavioral therapy or psychodynamic therapy, which is like talk therapy that allows someone to deeper understand their emotions and mental processes. Those are all options, but again, not everybody has the privilege of being able to afford therapy. Liberace says we'll all build a birdhouse one day. Oh, I like that. That's cute. Um, I know that not everybody has access to medication or therapy, but one thing that can make it more accessible is, for medication, if you go online and you look up Good RX, there's resources there to make medication more affordable to people who maybe don't have insurance or don't have great health insurance. If you can't afford therapy, there's something called sliding scale therapy that you can look up, or nonprofit therapy. those are more affordable options for therapy if you can't afford them. Um, but some that don't involve any of that stuff, some coping mechanisms involve a daily routine. You don't have to get overwhelmed with it. You could just start off with one part of your daily routine. My morning, some people like, pray in the morning to show gratitude, or they meditate. My routine is I'll hold my ferrets and then I'll just be thankful for them. Taking that moment of gratitude in the morning is something that feels really good. I like making my bed in the morning because then that tells me, hey, you can't get back into that. I know it looks really comfy, but look, now it's all made up nice, and now you can't get back into it because you'll ruin how nice it looks. Um, I so since I started doing a morning routine, that has really helped me with things that were going on in my life. So that's something to consider. Um, a bedtime routine. Go to bed at a normal time. Hopefully you won't need an alarm to wake up. Um, I talked about that's why I do this whole thing, with the Fitbit to keep track of my REM cycles. Because good sleep actually helps your brain heal from depression. And we talked about not looking at a screen before bed. Um, Liberace says good RX is great. Price Chopper uses it. I've never even heard of Price Chopper. What's Price Chopper? Actually, a fun little statistic. 87% of people with depression who resolved their insomnia significantly helped their depression symptoms. 87%. So, it's a huge fucking thing. Please get enough sleep, because not enough sleep will fuck you up. I cannot stress that enough. We talked about exercising. Also, outdoor time is a huge thing. I went on a walk today, and that helps a lot. Being outside slows your heart rate and it decreases your stress chemicals. So, um, if you can't go outside, you can imagine it. Or I know that we just talked about screens being bad, but even pulling up like something on TV of, a nature scene, if you can't go outside, maybe it's dark out, maybe you live in a bad neighborhood, or whatever. Those are still some options that you could try. Excuse me. Liberace says it's finally warming up outside. Cheers to the end of seasonal depression. Yeah, I was gonna do this stream earlier because V Falcon had recommended that I do one specifically because of the prevalence of seasonal depression. But I just got around to doing this one now, so I hope that it's still relevant and that it's still helpful to you guys. Um, a few more things. But I'm really glad that do you guys suffer from seasonal depression? Have you guys found yourself like getting worse these past several months, or have things started to get a little bit better now that it's warm out? Um, yeah, let me know. Let's see. Oh, Liberace says, "Oh, I guess they're not in PA. Basically, a giant eagle." Oh, okay. I thought it was like a website or something, but yeah, that makes sense. Um, do you not have giant eagles there? Legendary Danny says indirectly more because there is less to do than true seasonal depression, I think. What do you mean by that? I just want to make sure I understand properly. Like, do you mean because of the pandemic there's less to do, or just Legendary Danny says when I'm stuck in my house too much, I get bummed and lonely. Yeah, it's interesting actually. Legendary Danny says so it's more that than seasonal depression. Okay. Yeah, I think that was a huge contributor to why the pandemic cause depression for so many people, because socialization is another really important thing to preventing depression, and we weren't allowed to socialize. We couldn't get that outside time. It affected our daily routine. It really fucked with a lot of things, and it was basically a perfect recipe for causing depression. Um, Pharaoh City says, absolutely. Winter hits me really hard, and I find myself finding it harder and harder to get out of bed. But then, since I'm not doing anything, I feel even less fulfilled, which contributes. The cycle perpetuates. Yeah, I find it hard to get out of bed sometimes. Like I'll wake up and then I'll look at my phone and it's like, okay, it's noon. And then I'll fuck around on my phone for a while, like responding to messages or whatever, and then I'll look at the clock and it's 1. And it's like, oh my god, I just laid in bed for an hour. And I'll like force myself to get up, but like I'll put on like I usually like sleep in just a shirt, so I'll like when I get up I'll put on like comfy pants and warm socks, and then it's like more comfortable whenever I get out of bed because my room is like usually very cold. And then I'll make my bed, and then it having it made, it like brings me a sense of calm because my room feels tidy. I've already accomplished something by making my bed, and because it's made, I don't want to get back into it. And then because I have a morning routine, I have something to look forward to. So it's like, oh, I get to go check on the ferrets now, and they love that. Or like flossing feels really good because I don't like the way my mouth feels when I wake up. So like I get to look forward to how good it's gonna feel whenever I do these things. So having Pharaoh City, I'm wondering, can you think of some things that you could look forward to in the mornings that might make you excited to get out of bed if you were to incorporate them into a morning routine? Liberace says, annoying tasks become harder for me when it's colder out. I don't want to run errands when it's cold. Ugh, I totally get that. So they don't get done. I stay in bed all day. The winter sucks. Also, we do not have Giant Eagle in Kansas. I miss their donuts. Oh, I never really experienced. I need to try Giant Eagle donuts. Clearly, um, now I will. But yeah, I totally get that. I fucking hated going to classes when I was in college during the winter because I hated walking in the snow. It was fucking miserable. So I definitely get what you're saying. And I'm glad that that seasonal depression is starting to end and that it's finally getting warmer out. Um, I'm wondering, uh, whenever you said you stay in bed all day, same question goes to you. What I had asked Pharaoh City, are there things that you could plan as part of your morning routine that can make you excited to get out of bed? Liberace says, I need to get in the habit of making my bed more. It's the first step of an organized space that makes life 10 times easier when they are organized. Definitely. That's a really good idea. Pharaoh City says, that's a really good idea. I hadn't thought of that. I'll definitely give that some thought. Thank you, Shorty Pop. You're welcome, Pharaoh City. I'm really happy to help. I hope that that helps, and definitely keep me updated. Next stream that you come to, I'd love to hear if you were able to think of something that got you excited to get out of bed in the morning and how that's been helping. Um, I even if it's like you know, I'm trying to think, maybe it's like a delicious breakfast that you look forward to, or I like I have this song stuck in my head a lot. It's called Art Ho. And I'll wake up and I'll be like, Alexa, play Art Ho, and I'm like dancing around to it like an idiot while I make my bed, and that's like a thing that I get excited about in the mornings. So even like playing a song that like gets you excited and gets you out of bed while you're moving, or maybe you have a podcast you like to listen to, like being like, all right, it's time to listen to this and get moving. Those are some things that I like to look forward to in the morning. So if that gives you any ideas, I just wanted to share some of mine, and I'm really glad that that could be helpful for you. Uh, Liberace says, bruh, they're powdered donuts with chocolate cream filling. Ooh, fuck, I'm gonna try that. They'll change your life. Dude, I swear to God, there was one time I fucking was going into Giant Eagle and some dude came out with baked goods. Some strange old dude. I didn't know him. And he just looked at me and said, if they stop making these, I'd kill myself. And kept walking. That was the craziest. Yeah, that was my encounter as far as Giant Eagle goods go. So it was the donuts. Shit, I need this donut right now. Uh, Oh, I missed some of your messages. Liberace says making smoothies is fun for me, and I just got a bunch of fruit, so I'll add that to my morning routine. Oh, I love that. I'm glad. Liberace says art ho. I love it. LOL. I'll listen to that later. Yeah, I'd play it for you guys now, but I would get a copyright strike. So, art ho by Call Me Charisma with a K. That was very smooth the way I just did that. Also, I need to hear Arto. Yes, please do. I'm convinced that song is about me. Um, I, yeah. When you listen to it, tell me if you think that song is about me, because I think it's about me. Anyway, uh, okay, I just want to make sure I got all your comments. Um, yeah. Also, gratitude practice. You could have that with your family at the dinner table. You could journal. Some people pray. Uh, Londonderry Danny was saying about meditating. We talked about how socialization is a big thing, having hobbies. Um, Watching the stream is a way to socialize. You could call your friends. You could go on Netflix party. You could do online gaming. Those are some low energy forms of socialization if you don't feel like going out and hanging out with somebody in person, because sometimes that's hard to do if you have depression. But if you like to play video games, online gaming is a way easier way to do that. Um, Getting organized is a big one. Actually, I was at a friend's house recently, and it was like a low key hangout where they were studying, and I was like, "Can I organize your drawer?" And they were like, "Do does that bring you joy? Do you want to?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I started organizing it because, like, I don't know, I love organizing, but I also like helping my friends. And when I found out that this helps mental health, I was like, "Oh, that I could help my friend out by like making their space cleaner and tidier." And they told me how it's like so much easier for them to get ready in the morning because they could just look at their drawer and see everything real quick. So getting organized is such a huge thing. It helps with forgetfulness. It helps with disorganization. It helps with lateness. Like I said, my friend can now look in their drawer and grab their outfits right away because they could see everything really easily and get out the door. Um, or if everything's tidy, you don't have to be like, fuck, where did I put this thing? It's like, oh, it's the only thing that's sitting out. Cool. Um, Legendary Danny says gratitude lists all day. So that's awesome. So you make like gratitude lists then. I think that's great that you do that. I've tried to make a habit of writing it every day, but it's really hard to do that. So just thinking to myself sometimes, like even if I get really pissed off, like I got really angry the other day and I started just listing out loud things that I'm grateful for, and that helped me to calm down. So that was something else that I did. Organize your you can organize your closet, put it in bins. Also planning fun activities to have things to look forward to. Go to events if you have energy. Go to online events for low energy days. Schedule a call with friends. Put friends you call a lot in your favorites so you remember right away the first people that you can reach out to. Um, and also I'm gonna share a workbook here in a second if Twitch will let me, because it's been like really weird. Actually, uh, Liberace, can I ask you for a favor? I'm gonna send you a link because sometimes it's been weird about letting me post things in the chat, and I don't want it to fuck with the chat. So if I may, if I may trouble you. Um, would you mind posting the link I just sent you in Messenger? Um, that is a mindful. Thank you so much, by the way. That is a mindfulness worksheet for depression. So that's developed by mental health professionals to help you work through depression. So, in addition to all the tips that we went over today, that's going to be another big thing that if you're really struggling with severe depression, um, if in addition to, I do encourage you guys to reach out to a therapist, look into getting medication. Um, that's your own prerogative if you want to do those things. But if you maybe don't have access to therapy or medication, or you're just not comfortable with that, or that's not where you're at headspace wise, this is something that you can do right now, tonight, and is completely free. Is this workbook that'll allow you to take different steps to work through your depression, in addition to, the tips that we talked about today. So while Liberace grabs that link, I would love to hear from you guys. Like, what was the biggest things that we went over today that you felt like really helped you? Um, okay. Chad Zilt says hello. Hey, Chad. Oh, I don't know if did you just join? Oh wait, I guess so. I just wanted to let you know, Chad, I am actually shortening my streams. So, the schedule slot on Twitch is now an hour long. Thank you, Liberace, so much for posting that. Um, I appreciate that. Um, that's the workbook I mentioned. Um, but Chad still says, yeah, I just got home. Yeah, I'm cutting my streams back to be like technically an hour slot because I was actually feeling burnt out by the amount. Aw, thank you. Wow, I got my first sub. Aw, you guys, look. Oh, by the way, look over here. I have a little sub counter thing, and my goal is to get to 5. So if you guys want to sub to my channel, if you liked what you heard today and you were interested in it, go ahead and give me a little subby sub, and you will be an official. Not that you aren't already in the Shorty Pop family, but you'll be an official member of the Shorty Pop family. Ah, thank you. Slam Chops is now following. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love you guys. I'm really grateful for you. Um V Falcon says, "OMG, you have a sub button." Yes, I just got it today. Ah! I'm so excited. That's what I spent like most of the day setting up actually. So, thank you so much, guys. Nick the Claw says that donut we just described would be really helpful for reals. I'm fucking tempted to go to Giant Eagle tomorrow and get that donut. Um, Legendary Danny says the official Shorty Pop heart. I love that. Yes. And uh wow, you got Chad Zilch is the official #1 sub, like first sub. And Chad Zilch says, congratulations. Congratulations to you, Chad, for being my first sub. And thank you for the encouragement. I really appreciate you guys so much. I feel so good right now. This is so exciting. Yeah, I am naming the tiers for subbing. Thank you so much. Hype train is close. Sub, gift, or use bits now to start a hype train. Oh, wow. Holy shit, I don't know what a hype train is, but apparently if one more person subs, it's gonna start a hype train. I don't know what that means, but I guess we're gonna find out. Also, thank you, Liberace, so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. That means a lot. I am now 3 away from my goal of 5. I'm very thankful for you guys. Like, I told you guys before, you guys aren't obligated to come to my streams, and the fact that you come to them because you genuinely want to and that you enjoy this, like, it means so much to me. So I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful. I'm starting sub tiers. So like at like the sub 1 tier, you are Shorty Pop family. I might change the name soon, but I think sub 2 is Shorty Pop Elder, and Shorty Pop 3 is Shorty Pop Big Daddy. Nikki the Claw recommended that Shorty Pop Sugar Daddy should be one, so I think I'm gonna go back and edit the names and make one of them Shorty Pop Sugar Daddy. Um, Oh, Big Daddy, haha. Liberace says, "Yeah, girl, we support you, and those are great, and these are a great time for everyone." Aw, thank you. I love you guys so much. I'm really grateful. Um, yeah. I'm also gonna be starting to work on merch soon, and I'm gonna be able to get you guys like badges. I'm gonna look into getting you guys like rewards for anybody who like does a paid subscription. I'm gonna look into like creating rewards for those people and things like that. So, I'm learning more about that. But I'm so excited to be on this path, and I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at if it weren't for you guys. Legendary Dana says ferret t-shirts. Oh fuck, I'm writing that down. That is fucking awesome. Ferret t-shirts. I can draw Buckles and Scout. Oh my goodness. I love that. Holy shit. That's amazing. Liberace says yes. Fuck yes. I am so goddamn stoked. I'm gonna fucking work on drawing up some designs. I already started drawing up some badges for subs. Nikki the Claw says me, the ferret extra long, covering the entire shirt. Oh, make the ferret extra long, covering the entire shirt. I love that. That's cute. I'll write long boy in parentheses. Long boy, B-O-I. Oh my god, that scared me. Fee Falcon, thank you so much. Look, oh my god. It says hype incoming, and you have a limited time. You'll have a limited time to earn exclusive emotes. What? Hype train start. Level 1 hype train started. Sub, gift, or use bits to get to the next level. 94%. I don't understand what this means. Completing level 1 requires combined support events totaling 4 tier 1 subs or 1600 bits. Oh, holy shit. So we can unlock new emotes. Oh, they're cute. Hype conductors, be one of the top supporters. Huh. Whoa. I guess if we get one more sub, we'll get emotes. If we get another sub in the next 4 minutes, it's saying we'll get emotes. And there's one, it's like of a turtle, and it's like I imagine it doing the duck hunt laugh. And then there's one of a dolphin with it's like yeah, and it's got cool sunglasses. And I can't tell what the other ones are because there's like a little, ooh, I almost fucking fell, little lock symbol over it. But those are the things that might. Legendary Danny says I'm subbed spiritually. Oh, also I just want you guys to know that like tier 1 you don't have to pay for. So if you sub, it's totally free. Not saying that you have to sub, but I'm just letting you know. Anybody that subscribes at tier 1, you don't have to like pay anything. Um, but thank you, V Falcon, so much. If I didn't already say thank you so much for subbing, Liberace, and everybody who like came tonight. I really appreciate it. I have basically said everything that I had to say as far as depression and burnout goes. But all of this stuff started happening so fast with the sub thing that I am just kind of letting that roll because I don't know, Twitch is incentivizing me to stay on because it started a hype train and I've never had this happen before. It's very exciting. Um, but yeah. Other than that, if one more person subs, I will. Oh! Oh! A little animation is coming up on my screen with the confetti, and apparently we got the emotes. Oh my god! We got the emotes! Holy shit! What? Holy shit! That's so exciting! I want to see if I can find the emotes. How does this work? What? How do I do it? What? Okay, I'm like looking at this so I could try to figure out where they are. Cause I want to pull up the new emotes and show you guys. Shit. Do you guys see them? I'm trying to find it. Eh. Maybe I'm dumb and I don't know how to find it. Is that the new one? Da, 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 da. Let me see. So, oh, by the way, I missed some of your messages. Liberace says congrats on getting affiliated. Thank you, Liberace. Slam Chops is gifting 1 tier sub to Shorty Pop's community. It's their first gift in the channel. Oh my god, thank you. Aww. Slam Chops gifted a tier 1 sub to Nikki the Claw. Aww. Nikki the Claw says, do you need a prime to sub at tier 1? Thank you so much, Slam Chops. I appreciate that. That's so sweet of you. You get all the love in the world from my little heart. And also I will show you my sloth thing, which I hope makes you smile. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I can't say thank you enough. Liberace says, my dad emoji, and Chad Zilch says, we did it! Hooray! Aw, thank you guys. Nikki the Claw says, LOL, is that the new one? I think? Yes. Yes, that is the new one, I think. Yes! I think that's the new one. Slam Chops is gifting 1 tier sub to Shorty Pop's community. They've gifted a total of 2 to the channel. Slam Chops gifted a tier 1 sub to Legendary Danny. Thank you so much. Oh my god. Oh, V Falcon says if you have Prime, you can sub for free. If you don't, you pay $4 or $5 for a sub. Oh. Yeah, it pops up under Shorty Pop in the emotes. It's the only one I see so far. Oh, okay. I didn't know how that worked. Slam Chop says Poggers Dud. What does Poggers Dud mean? Also, thank you again, Slam Chops. I really appreciate it. Nikki the Claw says, Hex yeah, Slam Chops. Legendary Daniel says, Slam Chops rock on. The Falcon used the new emoji. Nikki the Claw says, also when you start making merch, you better call it the Shorty Shop. I'm writing that down. Oh my god, you guys are coming up with like the coolest ideas. Shorty Shop. Wow. There are so many fun things that can be, because I also had like the Shorty Pop shorts. I was making Shorty Pop shorts be like the interviews, but I'm gonna eventually like take already existing streams and edit them down into like 10-minute shorts, and I'm gonna like whenever I have time after I like make merch and do some other stuff that I like want to do for the channel, those are gonna be the new Shorty Pop shorts. And now I'll have the Shorty Shop. I love that so much. This is so great. Thank you guys so much for everything tonight. I am really grateful. Here, I'll bring the ferrets onto screen if I can find them, because that'll be a thank you for all of your love and kindness as I'll show you the Stinky Boys. Stinkies? Let's see if I can find Buckles. He has this cheeseburger. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. Okay, he didn't come for his cheeseburger. Oh well. I tried to get him to come, you guys, but this is his cheeseburger. Let's see. Nikki the Claw. It says hype train success. Oh! Oh, we did it! You received a level 1 hype train emote. Oh, I'm gonna share it. It's Choo Choo Hype LOL. Oh! Oh! We did it! We got the turtle! Oh my god! What? Oh my god, we're getting all kinds of emotes! Also, Buckles, is that you? Hi, Bubby. No, you're Scout. You wanna come say hi, say hello to everybody? Look! We got subs! We got emotes! Isn't it so exciting? Aww. Scout came for all the excitement. Let's see. Liberace says if you become a Funko, you'd be a shorty pop pop. Holy shit, I love that. Fuck. Pharaoh City says that is so cool that so many people subbed. Yeah, it is. This is amazing. Thank you guys so much. I can't even express how much this means to me. Thank you. Holy shit. Um, let's see. Liberace says choo choo and the new emoji. Slam Chops gifted a tier 1 sub to Pharaoh City. They've given 3 gift subs in the channel. Thank you so much, Slam Chops. That's amazing. I really appreciate that. And Scout appreciates it too, huh, Scout? Say thank you, Scout. He telepathically communicated the words thank you. Huh. Oh, Bucky? Hi, Buckles. Beep. I got my stinkies. Huh, Bubs. Let's see. Whoop. Here, wait. Come here, Buppy. Gotta hold my ferrets. Got 2 of them. This is Scout, and this is Sergeant Buckles. Let's see. Everybody's posting the awesome new cute turtle emoji. Pharaoh City says you're a mensch. What does that mean? Oh, Buckles. Yeah. You're stepping on Scout. I can't hold all the ferrets. Alright. Buckles, you want down? Go ahead, Bub Bub. Oh, you want your cheeseburger. Here you go, baby. There you go. You could have your cheeseburger. V Falcon also posts the lovely new emoji. Liberace says, hi, Scout. Also, the new camera looks great. We can see all the fluffiness. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks again to Poison for the new camera. Nikki the Claw sends a heart. London Nanny says, how do I do the turtle? Where's the turtle at again? Oh, if you push the little smiley button in the bottom, it comes up in frequently used. And then Twitch Hype Train. If you scroll down a little bit more, there's a Twitch Hype Train. And then there's that. But if you just type in hype, HYPE, and then capital L, capital U, capital L, then it comes up with the little thingy. Slam Chop says, say that to my face, why don't you? In reference to you're a mensch. I still don't know what that means. But I appreciate it, I think. Pharaoh City says, kisses passionately. Pharaoh City says, I call my dog Stinky. Aw. Yeah. I call you Stinky, huh, Scout? Even though ferrets get a bad rap, they're not actually stinky, huh? Can I have kisses? I'm getting kisses! Aw, it's an even extra good day. Thanks, Scout. Thank you guys so much for everything today. I really appreciate it. And I met the goal! We met the goal! I'm sorry, am I being too loud? I was too loud for Scout. I'm just so excited. I feel so great. Okay, I'm talking too loud in your ear. I'm sorry, Bubby. Well, guys, thank you so much for everything. Real quick, I'll ask you guys, before I log off, because I'm gonna get off here in a second. If you guys have any ideas for what you'd like me to talk about next week, I'm more than happy to take suggestions. Some things that I was thinking about talking about next week is statement analysis, which is sort of a follow-up to the handwriting analysis one, where we talk about analyzing the ways people say things. You can sort of tell if somebody's being deceptive in the way that they talk. You okay, Bub Bub? And then another one I thought about doing is what it's like to live in a psych ward. So if those are ones, everybody says statement, and Liberace says statement analysis sounds cool. Londonderry Danny says that sounds interesting. V Falcon says hype for statement analysis. Okay. Then the next week's one will be statement analysis. I'll write that down. And then Liberace says, we talked a little bit about addiction tonight with smoking. Maybe that could be a topic sometime. Okay, I'll write addiction dash smoking. Okay, I like that. Uh, Chad says, so I wrote that down, Liberace. Um, Chad Zilch says statement analysis would be cool. Okay, tomorrow I will start doing research for my next stream on statement analysis. Thank you guys so much for showing up tonight. I am so grateful for everything that you guys have done tonight. I'm so happy. This is such an amazing start to I mean, I only 10% of streamers ever make it to affiliate, and I feel so fortunate to be in this position because I never would have gotten here without such incredible people like you guys. I'm really thankful for you all, and I love you guys so much, and it means so much to me that you support what I'm doing, and yeah. uh I am excited to see you guys next week. We're going to do another interview on Tuesday. I'm going to figure out who that'll be. I might have my dad on for an interview. So that might be fun. If that happens, you guys are legally required to spam the chat with the emoji of my dad if he ends up on the stream. Yes, Liberace, exactly. Liberace says, congrats again. Have a great night, everybody. Londonderry Danny says, good night, Liberace. Good night, everybody. I love you guys. Mwah! Uh, this is the official Shorty Pop Heart in response to you guys. Have a great night and take care. Good night.